Hello everybody. So we're working on graph ratio tables. In the textbook that starts on page 47, it's lesson 5 in chapter 1. But we just think of it as 6.RP.3a. That's the standard that we do for graphing ratio tables. All right. So I'm actually going to go over some review first on the coordinate plane. All right, so here's our coordinate plane. Our coordinate plane is when two perpendicular number lines intersect at their 0 points. So the first thing I want to talk about is the y-axis. That's the one that is vertical, the one that goes up and down. And then we have the x-axis, and go ahead and copy down this picture so you can remember everything. The x-axis is the one that goes horizontal. I remember horizontal is like the horizon, okay? The horizon, you see the sun off in the horizon, and you can think of that as being side to side instead of up and down. Vertical is going up and down. The next thing that we need to make sure we understand about the coordinate plane is that, again, it's two number lines that intersect at their 0 points, and so that is called the origin, where it's 0, 0. And I know that looks like a little face because we're so into our texting pictures and stuff. So that's our origin right there at 0, 0. And when we graph numbers onto a coordinate plane, we always go over on the x-axis and then up. So we go over and then up. And so in this case we went over 4 and we went up 3 and we got our ordered pair 4, 3. Okay, and I just didn't number these, but this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and so this is going to be 4 over and 3 up, 4, 3. So that's just the review. You should have seen that before. So as I was just saying, that you can use any ordered pair to name any point on the coordinate plane. The first number is always our x, and the second number is always our y. And so you can express information in a table as a set of ordered pairs, and then you can see what the pattern is, and we're going to graph those ordered pairs on a coordinate plane. Remember that the origin is always at 0, 0. So for our first example here, and as far as writing this down, just follow along, and then we're going to go over another example that I'll actually have you draw. So just follow along with what we're doing on this page. It says the table shows the cost in dollars to create CDs of digital photos at a photo shop. The table also shows this information as ordered pairs, the number of CDs, comma, the cost in dollars. So if they're saying that the number of CDs is first, then that makes it our X value, and our cost in dollars is second, so that becomes our Y value. And so we have the number of CDs, comma, the cost in dollars. So for one CD, it's saying that it's going to be $3, so it's going to be 1, 3. For 2 CDs, then it's $6. That's just ratios. Think about your equivalent ratios that we just talked about in our last video. It would be 2, 6. For every 2 CDs, we have to pay $6. 3 CDs would cost $9. And when we graph that, we do it as 1, 3. We go over 1, up 3. The next one is over 2, up 6. The next one is over 3, up 9. So the first value, this tells us to go to the right, and then our second value, our y, tells us how many to go up. So then it wants us to describe the pattern. Well, we see here that as we are climbing up in the amount, for every 1 CD that we increase, the cost increased by $3 because they're $3 each. So that makes sense, right? So for the cost increases by $3 for every CD we created. So now we're going to do this one on our own. So what I'd like for you to do is go ahead and make this real quick table. It doesn't have to have grid in it, okay? Just 2 lines like this, and you're going to number them. The bottom line is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then these going up are going to be skip counted by 2. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And then we're going to graph the ordered pairs they've given us, talking about Gloria's earnings. So the first one says that in 1 hour, Gloria earns $5. So again, you know what? We need to say which one is which. We need to say which one is the hours and which one is the dollars earned. It tells us that hours is X, so our X-axis is the bottom one that goes horizontal. That's going to represent our hours. And then the ones going up and down are going to represent our dollars earned. So I'm going to change this to mine. I just want to make sure that you knew how to make yours, your coordinate plane. So for our hours, we go over 1, and for the dollars for this first hour, it's $5. So we're right about here. Okay, 1 hour, $5. And then for 2 hours, we're at $10. And then for 3 hours, we're at 15. So if you didn't go all the way up to 16 like they have in this graph, then you'll need to expand your graph. So those are our 3 points. And you can label them as you go, especially if it's in the middle like this one, and say 1, 5, 2, 10, and 3, 15. I'm sorry that mine are so sloppy. All right, and so now it wants us to describe the pattern in the graph. And so the pattern that I see is that for every hour that Gloria works, she earns $5. So for every hour Gloria works, she earns $5, or Gloria makes $5 per hour, right? All right. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is comparing ratios. So you can use tables and graphs to compare ratios. The greater the ratio, the steeper the line will appear. So that's really important. The greater the ratio, the steeper the line will appear. So if it's a ratio of, let's say for this one, 1 to 4 versus a ratio of 1 to 6, 1/4 is a larger number, meaning that we're going to be a steeper line, whereas 1/6 is a smaller number, so it's going to be a less steep line. Steep means, like, think about a hill. If it's a really steep hill, it means it practically drops straight down. If it's not very steep of a hill, then it's not very angled. So that's what steepness means, angled or not angled. Okay, so steeper is the greater ratio. And remember, ratios we can think of as fractions. So whichever the bigger fraction is the steeper line. So the example number 3 says that 2 friends are making scrapbooks. Renee places 4 photos on each page of her scrapbook. Gina places 6 photos on each page of her scrapbook. So you're going to make a table for each scrapbook. We've got Renee's scrapbook and we've got Gina's scrapbook. And you're making a column for pages, a column for the photos, and then also a column for their X, Y, because we're going to graph it in just a moment. So for every 1 page, there's 4 photos on Renee's. And so for 2 pages, so I'm sorry, for the ordered pair, that's going to be 1, 4. If there's 2 pages, how many photos would you have? You would have 8 photos, and then we would make the ordered pair 2, 8. If you have 3 pages, it would be 12, and that would make 3, 12. And 4 pages would be 16, so it would be 4, 16. So that's how we would build up that table. We're also going to do Gina's scrapbook, and for Gina's scrapbook it was 1 page gets 6 photos. And so that's a 1, 6 when we graph it. Our 2 pages will have 12 photos, and that's 2, 12. 3, and notice that we're going up by 6 on Gina's, and we're going up by increments of 4 photos on Renee's. So for every extra page, we have 6 photos for Gina, and for every extra page, we have 4 photos for Renee. And so these are our ordered pairs that we're going to use for Gina's scrapbook and for Renee's scrapbook. And so the next part says we're going to graph that. You can set up your graph, just 2 lines, don't get too crazy. You can skip count. Remember that our biggest number is going to be Gina having 24 photos. So honestly, as long as you can skip count, and the max number you need is 24. I would recommend you could skip count by 2s. They skip counted by 3s. You could skip count by 4. Whatever works for you, as long as you're skip counting equally. You can't go, oh, I'm going to start with 3 and then go to 9 and then go to 17 and then go to 24. That wouldn't work. okay? So don't do something like that. That's not going to work. You have to go by steady increments. So if you're doing by threes, like they have in their picture, it's 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, etc. So go ahead and create this table, or I mean, sorry, this coordinate plane. And on the bottom for number of pages, please make sure that you label. And for photos, you label that as well. And so we're going to do 1 through, honestly, I thought it was just 1 through 4, so we don't need 5, 6, and 7 on our bottom line. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then up this way, you're going to go all the way up to 24. I'm not going to redo it since it's already on my paper. And if you have your textbook, you have it right there that you could even, you know, cut it out and put it on here if you'd like to. Completely up to you. So you graph the ordered pairs for each friend on the same coordinate plane. And what you see here, because we're gonna really have to look at this and see what the patterns are. You see that for every one page we get 6 photos, and that continues on for Gina, and then every page gets 4 photos, and that continues on for Renee. You'll notice that Gina is a steeper line than Renee. Steeper meaning that if you were having to climb up this hill, this one would be harder to climb up than if you had to do Renee's like this. Okay, steeper means harder to climb up, or you'll go down really fast, that kind of thing. Alright, and we're just going to stop and reflect. This is the last part, so don't worry, this is almost over. It says Marta is also making a scrapbook, and she places 5 photos on each page. How does the ratio of photos to each page compare for her book, Gina's book, and Renee's book? So if she's doing 1 to 5, then her lines, and I'm going to use a different color here, her lines, okay, for 1, it's going to be 5. It's going to actually be in the middle here between those two. And then for 2 books, it would be 10, right? So it would be right here. And then for 3 books, it would be 15, so it would be right here. And for 4 books, it would be 20, so it would be like right here. And so you notice that she's kind of in the middle between Gina and Renee, and Renee's is still the least amount of steepness, and Gina's is the highest level of steepness, because we're comparing our ratios of 1 to 4, 1 to 5, and 1 to 6. This is Gina, this is our new friend Marta, and this is Renee. And so the biggest number of all these fractions is 1/4. You can find that by doing common denominators if you need to, and figure out which one is the biggest number. You can also do Top Dog in the Doghouse and change these all to decimals, and that would show you that 0.25 is the biggest one, because that was what this one would be. 0.25, this would be 0.20, and I believe this one would be 0.16 repeating or 13 repeating. Alright guys, that ends our wonderful lesson for today. I know you enjoyed hearing my voice for an extra 13 minutes, and I'll see you in school. Make sure you have these notes for me. Bye.